Hello and welcome back to What's Millie Making, where I'm Millie, and this is a space where I talk about the past, present, and future of my making, mostly knitting. Today's video is a quick little holiday-ish video. So this time of year, on the daily, there are dozens of posts on the knitting subreddits asking, what do I get my partner, parent, child, friend, neighbor, coworker, twice removed cousin who lives on Mars, who is a knitter, a gift for the holidays? And I thought I would make a video answering that question. So the goal of this gift guide, one, it's going to be short. I narrowed it down to 5 different gifts, and I think they're gifts that could work for a variety of budgets. And there's something here that I think could also work for every knitter. And actually, a lot of these gift ideas also work for crocheters. I think basically all of them also work for crocheters. Like any sort of fiber people, I think these are gifts that they could love. Two things that I did not include on this gift list are yarn and needles, and that's not to say that they're not good gifts. I think they're just ones that are more personalized to the recipient because it really depends on their fiber preferences, what they're knitting, what colors they like, what weight of yarn it's going to be, how much they need of it. And then for needles, there's brand, there's the type of needles, interchangeables, circulars, DPN, what size, what length, or what material, what do they already have, what do they need. So you can absolutely get those as gifts, but that's not going to be the focus of this gift guide. So without further ado, let's just talk about the 5, I think they're really 5 easy gifts you could get the knitter in your life. Or if you're a knitter and you're wondering what to ask for the holidays, maybe one of these will work for you. First up is wool wash. So wool wash is different from your standard commercial detergents. Oh my God. I can never tell before I'm editing, if you can hear all the street noises or not. And I feel like the noise reduction works to a degree, but I don't know. Anywho, let's rewind back to wool wash. So number one on the gift guide is wool wash. So wool wash is a little different than your standard detergent that you will get at the grocery store, even like Wool Light, which is also sold at the grocery store and is meant for wool garments. The difference between a dedicated wool wash versus the commercial ones is, one, I think that most of the commercial laundry detergents have harsher cleansing agents and enzymes that could deteriorate your hand knit items over time. And number two, my personal reason why I really like a wool wash is because you do not have to rinse them out. So let's say I have this hand knit sweater and I throw it in a bucket with a little bit of Tide. It'll get soapy and sudsy and really nice. However, if I want to get out that sudsiness, I'm going to have to continuously rinse out the fabric and agitate it to get out that detergent. Whereas with a rinse-free wool wash, you don't have to do that. You dump it in a bucket with a little bit of the wool wash, let it soak, and then when it's some time has passed, you can just take it out of the water and dry it. You don't have to agitate the fabric at all. And that can help prevent felting and just keeps up the integrity of the garment or the fabric, whatever you knit with it over time. And I also really love wool washes because they come in a whole bunch of scents, and you can get them from bigger brands and from smaller brands. Some popular bigger brands that you can get them from are from Soak and Euclid. They have a whole variety of scents and a variety of sizes. There's even unscented versions if the person you're gifting for is maybe sensitive to fragrance or doesn't really like fragrance in their clothing detergents. They also sell little sampler packs where you can get it with a bunch of different scents that they can try out, and then they can pick one out in the future that they want to get. Most of these wool washes you can find at local yarn stores, and honestly, they also sell them on Amazon. So that is pretty readily available. My personal favorite wool washes are from Sorella. They are a yarn dyeing business that also sells some stuff on the side, and they make their own in-house wool wash, and I love their scents. they do different scents for different seasons and collections, but they always have at least some scents available. And I have yet to purchase one that I do not like. And I think wool wash will work as a gift for most knitters as long as they do not have a wool or lanolin allergy. And you can use wool wash to wash any like hand knit or crocheted item. It doesn't have to be wool only. Like when I've made stuff with cotton, I still use wool wash because I really like the rinse-free aspect of it and I love the fragrance from the wool wash. That is gift idea number one. Gift idea number two is summer related, and I think it's something that's really underrated. I don't really see a lot of people using it, but I am obsessed with it. And it is this, it's a very specific one that I like. Other brands do it, but theirs is my favorite, and it's the Laundresses Wool and Cashmere Spray. Now, this has been discontinued for a while, but they finally brought it back this fall, I think, and I'm so happy I have a fresh new bottle in the mail. I have been making my bottle last as long as possible. This is just a very, very simple spray that has like a cedar scent in it, and if you are familiar with wool or natural fibers, you know that moths and carpet beetles like to munch away at them. And there's a lot of ways that you can prevent that bug damage. And one of the deterrents for those bugs are to use something cedar scented. Now, I have used like the cedar balls and the cedar blocks before, but I just find that the scents don't last really long and I constantly have to like take them out and sand them to get the scents back. However, with this spray, it's literally so easy. You just spray it on the garment, and that cedarwood scent is there to stay for a while. And it dries really quickly. It doesn't leave any like droplets or like residue on the garment. I'm just a big, big fan. Unfortunately, I think now it only comes in one size. Like they used to sell it in a smaller size, so you could try it out, but I think it is completely worth the money. You can buy it off the Laundresses website, and then other retailers also sell it. Like I'm pretty sure you can also get it off Amazon. The third gift idea for knitters or crocheters or fiber folks in general is a lightweight hand cream. So obviously knitting, crocheting, it's all done with our hands. And I know for me in the winter, my hands are definitely more prone to dryness. Like I have this one eczema patch on my hand that just never goes away. And like depending on how people tension the yarn on their fingers, they could also get blisters on their fingers from the yarn. You want to keep your hands hydrated. But at the same time, I also do not like to use a heavy hand cream when I'm knitting because I find that the residue can get on the needles, can get on the fabric, and it's slippery when it dries down, it gets sticky, and it's just really gross and unappealing, and I don't like that. So my personal favorite hand cream that I use while I am knitting is the Ways hand cream, and it comes in this huge refillable jar, and I really really like actually that it comes with a pump because that also makes it easier to use when I'm in the middle of knitting. Like I don't have to open up a jar and scoop it out and spread it out. Just pump a little bit on my hands and I'm good to go. Also, I love that you can buy refill pouches for this, and I'm just a big fan. I also really like the scent that they have. It is not the strongest scent, but I also wouldn't say it's the lightest scent. So if the person you are gifting to or if you're purchasing this for yourself is sensitive to fragrance, I would say maybe this one might not be the one for them. Or you can go into like Ulta or Sephora or whatever local store you have to you that sells the Way products and try it out there. Idea number four are knitting or crocheting books. And I personally find knit books to be so, so beautiful. Like they're always so beautifully photographed. They're just wonderful sources of inspiration. I seldom honestly knit the patterns in the books. I'm trying to change that. I am trying to change that, but I just think they're beautiful coffee table books while also being functional. And someone that I would personally recommend, I think Lina makes some beautiful books. I have talked about before, there's some errors in their books, but in general, I would still recommend them. I think they're beautiful and they are generally a good value, especially the really popular books that they come out in the soft cover forms. You can get under $20 often. There's the 52 Weeks of Socks, Volume 1 and 2, 52 Weeks of Chunky Knits, 52 Weeks of Shawls and Scarves. And just Lina in general has a lot of books. They work with a lot of different designers and coming out with books. And maybe like a little bit more niche, but something I personally really love are vintage knitting books. And you can go on eBay, you can go on Amazon, you can go on thrift books. There's just so many cool vintage knitting books. Obviously, if you are purchasing this as a gift for somebody, you will have to be a little bit more familiar with their taste. Like, do they like the vintage aesthetic? If there's a certain era you know that they like, maybe you could find a book that corresponds to that era. I will point out two of my favorite, and both of these are very readily available. I don't think I paid more than $20 for each of these on either Amazon or eBay. I'm fairly certain I bought them on eBay, but it might have been Amazon. First is this Rowan 40 Iconic Hand Knit Designs, 40 Years. I talked about this book in my Orkney sweater video. This book I think came out in, it's not a vintage book. This one came out in like, I think 2012. 2018, that just seems later. Okay. I guess this book came out in 2018, so it's really not a vintage book. It's just a secondhand book. But it has a bunch of vintage patterns in it. So it has patterns from Rowan magazines from the past 40 years. And there's such a great variety of patterns in this book. Like, I think it's also kind of funny that apparently, like, Kate Moss in the beginning of her modeling career occasionally used to model for Rowan. So in the beginning of the book, there's a Kate Moss photo. Of course, there is the Orkney sweater, which I knit earlier this year. Oh my god, this one is beautiful. This is a jacket called Valentina by Martin Story. There's the Kintra by Marie Wallen. Then you have like some more simpler designs too. There's this Flora by Kim Hargraves, which is a simple striped pattern, but it's like all in the little details that I think that elevates it. Looks like it has a satin sleeve and then like striped bias, I-cord binding, picot details on the edging. Oh, this is another one of my favorite patterns. Let me see a picture for it. The Flora McDonald. I think I'm kind of biased towards this pattern because I went to the Isle of Skye earlier this year and Flora McDonald is like an icon there. And actually, I didn't stay at a hotel, I stayed on like the grounds of a castle. And the apartment that we stayed in was called the Flora McDonald apartment. But I also just really like the design. So, anyways, I totally recommend this book for a gift or just to purchase for yourself. And this is a book that you can very easily find secondhand. Okay, wait, I lied. I actually have two more that I want to talk about. Let me talk about the one that's more easily available. And that is sweaters from the Seton collection. I haven't knit any of these sweaters, but I'm absolutely obsessed with all of them. It is a bunch of vintage patterns from, I think this book was published in the 80s. Yeah, 1989. It's literally older than me. Printed in Singapore. That is something interesting you don't really see. There's just a bunch of really cool very 80s patterns, but I think you could totally knit them in a modern way or just have this as a gorgeous coffee table book for inspiration. And I think I've talked about this before. I'm like 98% certain that the knitwear designers from the 80s who published under the names like the Setons, Jamie and Jessie Seton, I am 98% sure they're also the creator of the clothing brand Toast. So if you like Toast's aesthetic, this is what their aesthetic used to be in the 80s. And my dream sweater knit, the Henri in Pennsylvania sweater, which is sadly not in this book, is by this designer. So I'm just a big fan of their work. And if the person that you are gifting also enjoys this sort of aesthetic, maybe they will also enjoy this book. And this is one where I've found a lot of secondhand copies. And then the last vintage pattern book I want to talk about is Tudor Roses by Alice Starmore. So I love English medieval history. So naturally, like, that love started when I was younger through the Tudors, like Anne Boleyn, Henry VIII, Bloody Mary, all that stuff. So this book was actually so popular. There are several different editions of it, and all of them are beautiful. The patterns are really beautiful, but I personally just really liked it because I like the Tudors, and like they'll show the pattern and they'll talk about the inspiration. And I think a lot of the photos were taken in Hever Castle, but they have like little biographies on the real life people that the patterns were inspired by, and there's both men's and women's patterns in here. Like this is the Anne of Cleves one, which I really like. And it's so funny how cyclical fashion is, because I could totally like walk down the street and see somebody wearing an outfit like this today, like a long oversized cable sweater with a stripy maxi skirt and then some sort of like platform clogs. This edition that I have is published in 1998, but I know they might have an older edition. I don't know if this is the oldest edition, but they definitely have newer editions. And the different editions do have slightly different patterns and slightly different prices depending on how, like, the availability on the secondhand market, but I would recommend them all. And that's also, I think knitting books are also a great idea if you want to get a secondhand gift or a gift on a budget. And then the last gift idea I have for knitters slash crocheters slash fiber people is a fabric shaver, which sounds maybe like a little boring, but I promise you, knitters love them. I have tried a few, and of what I've tried, I think my favorite is the Gleamer. It comes with like different teeth or whatever, and it's so good at shaving the sweater and removing pills without being without like removing unnecessary fabric, because I feel like sometimes when the debobblers or the shavers or whatever, they do too much. They take too much of the fabric out, and I don't want them. I just want them to take off the surface pilling. Pilling is just a reality of life. Whatever fiber you use, you use it a lot, you will probably end up with pilling at some point. With acrylic, with cotton, with mohair, with wool, with alpaca, like everything is prone to pilling at some point. And if you want to extend the life of your knitwear, a fabric shaver is a lifesaver. A fabric shaver is a lifesaver. Like I said, I personally really love the Gleamer. I bought the Gleamer to go from my local yarn store. I really like it because it comes in like different patterns, which are cute. But you can also find the full size one, I think, at like Target and Amazon. When I was Googling before making this video, it is very readily available. And if you have a bigger budget and you are gifting for somebody who just likes pretty things, I would recommend taking a look at what's it called? I can't remember the name of this electric debobbler off the top of my head. I haven't tried it, but I've seen a number of like lifestyle fashion YouTubers recommend it. It's from the Steamery, and it's like this little like pod looking thing. Actually, you know what it reminds me of? It's a debobbler that reminds me a lot of the Rhode peptide glazing fluid. Like it looks exactly the same kind of. And like I really like the design of the Rhode glazing fluid. So naturally I also like the design of this debobbler. So I can't personally speak to the efficacy of that one because I haven't used it personally, but I think that is another great gift idea. And that wraps this video up. Like I said, I really wanted to keep this short. Hopefully, if you were looking for a gift idea for the knitter, crocheter, fiber person in your life, this video gave you some ideas. And if none of these fulfilled your requirements, I honestly think that giving a gift card to a local yarn store never goes down wrong. I have received multiple through my 3 years of knitting, and I always enjoy them. I like going with the person who gave me the gift card, and even when they're not a knitter, like they just have fun looking at the yarn and the samples and stuff with me. And it's just an enjoyable, fun experience even after I've received the gift. And if you do not have a local yarn store, or if you don't know what yarn stores the person you're gifting to likes to shop at, one yarn store that I would recommend, like basically the only place I buy yarn from online. I love shopping at my local yarn stores, but I also have a go-to online local yarn store when I want to buy something that my local yarn stores don't have, and that is Wool & Company. They are based, I think, in the suburbs of Chicago. Unfortunately, if you live outside the US, I think they only ship to the US. However, if you live in the US and the person you're gifting to lives in the US, totally recommend gifting a gift card to here. I received one. I received a gift card to there last Christmas, and it was a perfect gift for me. I'm like still working my way through the gift card. I really like them because they have a huge selection of yarn. They have yarn for every budget. They have a wide variety of fibers. They have cotton, acrylic, wool. They have luxury. They have budget. They have needles. They have tools. They have books. Like they sell everything. So whatever the person wants to purchase, they could buy from there. And the second reason why I really love shopping there when I'm shopping online is that they have a no free shipping minimum. So even if they want to buy like one ball of yarn, they can buy it without paying shipping. And when you spend over $100 there, they give you like 10% off on a lot of yarns, free express shipping, and their express shipping is so fast. I swear it comes in like 2 days afterwards. So yeah, totally recommend Wool and Company. Okay, so that is the end of this quick little video. For once, I said a video would be quick, and it actually has been quick. So I call that a success. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like and follow along. And as always, I would love to know what you are working on while watching this video because I'm nosy and I love to know what's on other people's needles. Or if you are working on a different craft, you can share that too. Okay, truly the end now. Thanks again for watching. Happy holidays, happy knitting, and hope to see you again next time. Bye!